Shark farts.
Just completed today, mind you, a full triathlon.
Hello. I assure everyone in the interwebs that I do not smell like the Hudson River any longer.
Why America is awesome.
Jacuzzis. Jack Nicholson.
Jonas Salk.
The all-night diner.
Timor beef stew.
But I have to think America is pretty awesome because we have women's sports and we have professional women's sports. I don't see too many countries doing that.
Billy Joel.
The party's on, boys. Come on in.
Ric Flair! Oh yeah!
What are you gonna do when the 34th
Oh yeah!
What?
They did it. It's all, the political system, you got to think like 7 steps ahead. It's like chess. That's the reason we're doing it. They're energizing their base, just like they did under Bush.
I'm not ready for someone from the Bush era to be back in office.
Number 1, I would vote to repeal Obamacare. Hey, looks like it's week 22! We've got an extra guest! We've got lots of great meat this week. You want to talk about Congress and what ridiculousness they go through? You want to talk about the Romney talking in front of the NAACP? I think we've got you covered right now on the Sunday Podcast! So, we've got quite a few people here joining us this week. Looking forward to what everybody's got to offer. Let me go ahead and introduce our cast. From Johns Creek, Georgia, we've got Frank Havington. Say hey, Frank.
Hello.
And from Johns Creek, Georgia as well, my name is Jeff Wheeler. Hi. And from Tulsa, Oklahoma, here for the first time, formerly referred to as Oklahoma, it's Laura Donaldson. Say hello, Laura.
Hi.
Right, there you go. Ziggy, bringing in the board, taking care of everything. And Tom Holmes. Say hello, Tom.
Morning, everyone. Hello.
All right, so it looks like we are wrapping up this season of the podcast with some good show. Let's go right into the first one. How ridiculous is our Congress? We've now had 33 votes to repeal a law that is already passed. Now, 33 times our House of Representatives have voted on repealing what they call Obamacare. And how crazy is it that we continue to have 33 votes on a law that exists? And it's obviously not going to make anything different, but should they not call our Congress insane?
Yeah, I think you summed it up, my friend. It's because it's not like there's anything else going on or anything else that needs to be worked on or legislated or looked into. It's obviously this is the most important thing and the only thing. It boggles the mind. It's show, and more people need to call it for what it is, which is a show.
Not how bitter apprehensible, it's so defensible.
I read an article this morning about what it costs to run our Congress for just one day. For just one day, for them to do a vote on, say, the national flower in July has to be the periwinkle, and it never is in any other month, but they spend a day of Congress voting on such a measure. They said it was like $1.4 million per day in just cost of doing business to be able to keep the Congress open.
I feel compelled to apologize because the representatives from Oklahoma are a large part of the problem. In fact, our only Democrat was one of the Democrats to cross the aisle and vote against it. So,
Oh, yeah.
And the problem is that they get points for that here. They're campaigning. That's what the Congress is subsidizing their campaign, and so they make this vote, and then they come home, and everybody's like, "Yay, standing up to Obama." And, you know, it's points for them, and it's just free campaigning. That's all it is. And I'm sorry that the rest of you are paying for our campaign.
75.8% of its roll calls pitted Democrats against Republicans against each other. The most divided House we've had since Reconstruction.
Except, of course, Dan Warren from Oklahoma, who crosses the line and votes with them. He's a Democrat in name only.
See, now, okay, now that takes me to a point that I kind of want to transition to here for a second, is that whole, well, all of those congressmen are ridiculous except for mine.
Yeah.
And that's what I find with most people across the country. They're like, you know, well, this is all broken except for my congressman, he's a good guy.
Tom Price is not a good guy.
Tom Price has good things to him. I just don't know if it's all.
Surprisingly, in our primary, one of our representatives who's been there for like, I don't know, 15 years, lost in the primary, and I was really stunned. I did not expect that because he's one of the stalwart party voters, and I thought he'd be there forever. I didn't realize he was vulnerable, but he lost to somebody from the Tea Party. We're losing Sully.
Oh,
Sully department. Some academic had made a suggestion of like how to, you know, a suggestion for ways to fix government, and one of the suggestions was get rid of the 2-year term for members of the House because it's too short, and this kind of like always be campaigning era. It's like as soon as you get elected, you have to immediately go back and start campaigning again because really it's a year away when you have to start campaigning again. So their suggestion was make the House a 4-year term.
Do you know how even long they're in Washington? They go back to their congressional districts at 6 p.m. on Thursday, and don't come back until noon on Monday. They're only there for about 20 hours a working week.
Yeah, but, you know, I don't think they do anything of value when they're there for 20 hours, so if you give them 40, they're still going to do nothing of value.
For each congressman, there are 5 lobbyists. They do a lot.
We need to go back to citizen statesmen, men that had jobs in their local communities and spent 2 months when Congress was in session doing the business of our country, and then they went back and did their farms or did their, you know, whatever their business was back in their home districts.
Do you want, what is it, the Texas model? Isn't the Texas legislature meet once every 2 years or something?
I think it's, yeah, they do. They go into session for like 3 months once every 2 years.
I don't know enough about Texas, which is a shame because it's such a huge state. But I really want to know a little more about how that works because I'm from afar. I'm like, really? You just get together once every? This isn't exactly like a Kiwanis or a Rotary Club. I feel like it's probably a little more important than that.
Kwanzaa?
I think they do their budget every 2 years.
That is true. I don't know if they. I thought they only met for a certain.
I think they only meet. They have a really small.
I'm pretty sure they have to meet to declare days and honor people and pass resolutions.
I think that's the reason that they don't meet, but once every 2 years, because that's the only thing they're going to end up doing most of the time. I think Tom's right on that one. We'll look it up though.
This will be homework, and we'll post it in the. It'll be a little bit righter. Who was right?
That's right. Who was right?
Do you want, what is it, the Texas model? Isn't the Texas legislature meet once every 2 years or something?
There's a story released this week that Connie Rice was on the short list to be the Veep nominee for Mitt Romney.
I think she should be the Veep nominee. That would push me over the edge as an independent.
I'm a big fan of Connie Rice.
So number one, Connie Rice she's an intellectual.
She has
a great backstory. She comes from rural Alabama, worked her way up in the political system, was the White House, what was it, the NCA director? No, NCA. The person that comes in and tells the president all the stuff that's going on.
National Security Advisor?
National Security Advisor. And then she was, what did she do after that? She was Deputy White House Chief of Staff, maybe, something like that?
Yeah, she was Chief of Staff, I think, yeah.
Something like that. At any rate, I think it would be a good addition to the ticket as an independent. I'm just saying. That's my take.
Right, but she doesn't go along with the abortocentrist policies of the Republican Party.
But in the same sense, she's probably like a Colin Powell. It's the first time.
I'm going to jump in and say no, because I'm sorry, and this is my political skin coming out, but I really am not ready for someone from the Bush era to be back in office. I mean, you might as well, like, you know, I don't want to, because as soon as, like, Wolfowitz and Rumsfeld are going to be like, the party's on, boys, come on in. No, I need a little more break. I need a little more distance, you know.
Not
I'll need to spend a little bit of time apart.
Right.
And maybe we can talk again, Connie.
Oh, my God.
Well, she said she didn't want to do it. But here's the big problem with that for me is I think she's you put her with Romney, and that's a really hard sell to the South because
oh, yeah.
Schools very elite and not at all that George Bush, good old boy fighting for the Bible kind of candidate. Right. And they need something like that to balance Romney out, so she is not a good pick.
Yeah, very good call. Yeah.
I like Condi. I don't think she's a good pick, but I like Condi. Okay, so Romney decided to take an audience at the NAACP meeting, which they had this year, and they do from time to time, and he stood in front of the group and started to lay out his plan for America and say what he felt like things needed to be, and et cetera, and was pretty candid and pretty honest about what he thought. And he says, I'd like to cut down all government spending. The audience went, yay! I would cut down all the plans that people don't really need. Yay! Like, number one, I would vote to repeal Obamacare. Boo! And literally, the audience booed him on stage.
And so to do that, I'm going to eliminate every non-essential, expensive program I can find. That includes Obamacare, and I'm going to work to reform and save.
It's energizing the base, Jeff. That's why they did it. It's all, you know, the political system, you got to think like 7 steps ahead. It's like chess. That's the reason we're doing it. They're energizing their base, just like they did under Bush. It's going to be a very tight election. It's going to be decided by 1 or 2 basis points. That's it.
And that word that he used, Obamacare, is the one that was doing that to energize the base.
You know, there was a survey of the Chamber of Commerce. They carried out a survey of their members, about 1,500 surveyed. And they asked them what effect that Obamacare would have on their plans. And 3/4 of them said that made them less likely to hire people. So I say again, if our priority is jobs, and that's my priority, that's something I'd change.
You know?
Look, Obama's got 95% of the black vote. The only reason he was going there is for show. That's it.
That's right.
And that night he flew to a fundraiser in Montana and said, I gave this speech this afternoon to the NAACP, and they did not give me the same cheery response that you are giving me. So it gave him credit. And by the way, I looked it up, and the town he spoke at in Montana has about 4,000 people living in it, and 12 of them are black.
This is where the NAACP had their meeting?
No, this is where they had their meeting in Houston. This is where he went after that and spoke and talked about how he had gone to the NAACP and they booed him to a white audience. I mean, it buys him credit, you know, with his base.
Calculated accident. It's like, oh, you know,
like, I got street cred.
Yeah. So he probably fully expected to be booed.
Right. And now he can go to a predominantly white audience and say those black people booed me.
Go on to the wax philosophical.
What?
The universities in general, how much does their responsibility lie? Where is the line drawn? The Penn State University Joe Pa issues that we've been having with Sandusky, and how much culpability does the university have? How much culpability does Joe Pa have?
Oh boy.
We got 2 of those in the news, and the other one being FAMU. After 6 months since the tragic death of the drum major from Florida A&M University, his family is now able to bring suit against the university. Going around the horn, who thinks that there should be responsibility by the university on this? Tom, go ahead. Chime in.
I actually had posted up, there was a great write-up, and I hadn't even stopped to think about it, but someone who basically, the title of the article was, Penn State should get the death penalty. Obviously the death penalty referring to, the kind of like drastic full-on measures that the NCAA can do to a university. They've only enacted the quote-unquote death penalty, I think 3 or 4 times, only once in college football, and that was SMU many years ago. And I fully think this shows, I mean, especially, I was kind of like playing the wait-and-see story, but as soon as the Free report came out and we saw indications that they knew in 1998 or 99, they knew again in 2001, and that yet still did nothing or half did things, or actually that was my worst. My worst concern was that they were not acting. But then the report comes out and it looks like, yeah, they were acting to cover their asses and safeguard their program and its reputation. And like that, it's like, if you're going to drop the death penalty on a program for recruiting violations and things like that, you've got to do something just as hard-hitting, I think, in a case like this. That's my opinion.
I think, too, that since there's an ethical component to your accreditation process, that maybe they should lose their accreditation for a little while, because I think the problem is we don't want to get in a situation where who gets punished are the players. They got to find a way to punish the university itself,
yes.
Its ability to raise money, its credibility within the academic community, because it's the school, it's the administration that's clearly the problem. And I say that coming from a state where the highest paid state employee is Bob Stoops at OU. Bob Stoops wants in Oklahoma, Bob Stoops gets. And the thing is, we had that same problem when Switzer was here, and you really have to have some kind of break, because people will just let them do whatever they want to do, and administrations don't always step in and stop them.
Well, that just takes the football program is bigger than the university in those particular circumstances. But I can't agree with taking penalties against the university and its academics for what the jocks do out on the field. And not just the physical players, but even what the coaches of the superfluous programs to what the real academic university is. I'm fine if you want to shut down the entire football program and give them the death penalty. That's fine with me. But if you start to punish kids who go to class and study because their football program did stupid stuff, come on.
Well, it isn't just the football program, though. It's the administration. It's the head. It's not just because it went beyond Joe Pa, because we're talking about the vice president or chancellor, and then the president of the university. They're the ones that are the final call on that, and they're the ones. They're outside the football program, and yet they were letting the football program call the shots.
Yeah.
I think this will be a great chance for people to regain the reins of power, I think, across the country. Hopefully, sports programs, I love sports programs. I think we're all college sports fans on some level of fanness or not. But the university exists to be a university, not to be a vehicle to have a quasi-professional sports team exists in a college town.
And same thing with FAMU. I mean, the band at FAMU was as important to
yes.
the student life as the PSU football program was. And it was the reason that people would go to football games, was that FAMU band. And they had as much clout when they were walking around. Would you say the same death penalty to the band there?
Yeah, if there's a track record for this going on, this is what I reserved my judgment until this report came out, and the report indicated that this has been going on for a while. There's been knowledge for a while, and there's been no activity until your hand was forced. And it's like, oh shit, okay.
I know from personal experience that there was knowledge of the hazing at FAMU. I know for a fact, because I spoke to the people who ran the band program, the band director, and some of the muckety mucks whenever I was in the band at UF, and knew some of those people outside, and whenever we're sitting around having a drink, they're like, yeah, we know they're doing that, but as long as nobody gets hurt, we don't really care.
Everyone knows the FAMU drum majors.
People in the front with big hats. People look at the band, first thing they usually look at is the drum majors. Long capes.
Anytime there's a drum major around, we are a representation of the Marching 100.
With a baton in their hand.
Those of us who are drum majors, we like doing what we do.
Drum major, especially FAMU drum major, is bigger than any of us.
I want to share what I saw on my DVR.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
How much does everyone on the panel think on a Monopoly game there is in money in the bank when you start the game?
$424,000.
$15,540. I also learned there's no such place called Marvin Gardens, and the most commonly laid in Monopoly Square is, not counting jail, Illinois Avenue. Yes, I watched a documentary on the board game Monopoly, and I also spent the last 8 hours watching a marathon on BBC about the monarchy. I'm way up to date with the Saxons all the way through Henry VIII. I'm feeling great. That's what's on my DVR.
My personal favorite segment, things that piss me off that really shouldn't piss me off. This week, it's baby on board signs. Now, I have not driven a car in many years, and so I haven't seen them in many years. But for some reason, I was riding my bike, and I had a vision of the baby on board sign. I guess the assumption was you put this up so people are like, oh, I have a baby on board. Please drive more safely. It's like, oh, yeah, I was planning to crash into you, but then I saw that you had a baby on board sign, so now I'm going to slow down. You know what? That's douchery on such a level. So I hate that. Now, I realize there's no more baby on board signs, but the new, in my opinion, baby on board is these little stick figures that people put in their back windows showing their family. Like, there'll be a stick figure of mom and stick figure
of
yeah. And then 3 stick figures of the kids, and then their dog and their cat. And, you know, I don't care. I'm not, this is the interstate. This is not Ancestry.com. I don't need to know your family breakdown. And I know you're putting it there either to, like, brag about how fertile you are or to invite me not to crash into your minivan. You know what? I'm going to use that as an excuse to hit you. If I see another baby on board sign or a really extended family, I'm like, you got some room to spare. I'm taking you out.
All right, so I've got a little piece of dating advice all over again. You know, people, girls in particular, just, I don't know what it is about them not having any self-confidence about what it is that they do. Like, they're constantly, I keep running into this, and I just don't understand it. Girls, if you think you look good, you're going to look better. Now, I don't want ugly girls to be walking around like I'm all the shit, whatever, because that's the other end of this coin, which is a pain in the butt. But most girls end up berating themselves and cutting themselves down way too much, you know, and it really just takes away the allure from a lot of perspectives. You can be humbly confident in your own abilities and your own thing and your chutzpah walking around. And I just run into it too often that girls don't have that, and it's
Jeff, are you humbly confident?
I don't do the humbly part, but I try. I try, but I don't do the humbly part very well.
You know what drove me crazy? I guess, is it time for ass hats, I guess, at this point, Jeff, I think?
Yeah, but don't take Tom's ass hat.
No. I'm going to throw this back to you, that one of our politicians, which I thought was very hokey, and if you want to, like, fill that in about how angry he was, Jeff, you take it away on this. But I thought it was very hokey.
Very hokey?
Yeah, how Henry Reid, how he got mad. That's not my ass hat, that was your ass hat, right?
That's Tom.
Stop copping a feel of my ass hat. Which brings us to ass hats. So, as Frank kind of led into our ass hats of the week, my ass hat of the week is, of course, Senate Majority Leader Reid from Nevada, who went on a little tirade spiel about how our Olympic uniforms are made in China. and then of course another, like I just saw yesterday that in 2014 the uniforms will be made in America. I really want to go around the Senate and just like turn everything upside down and like tag all the things that are probably made in China in the Senate chambers. Because I guarantee, it's flip stuff, flip it all over the place. Because I guarantee, I want to turn Reid upside down and look at his shoes. I'm like, dude, you're walking on China. Come on, man.
No, those are probably Italian.
True.
Yeah, he is a Democrat. They have expensive things.
Exactly.
They have taste. So yeah, I just thought again, it actually ties back into our first piece where it's like, with the vote, the 33rd vote in the House to repeal Obamacare, and then this little tirade about Buy America, Make America. It's really, you got better things to do. Oh wait, is it an election year? Oh yeah, duh. So you're an asshat. All
right, so I'm going to chime into my asshat, right? So I read this article that was originally in the Boston Globe about OSHA, and there is a new rule that just was written by OSHA. 1 year ago, approximately, there was, or maybe it was 2 years ago, I guess, approximately there was an accident at SeaWorld. Maybe you guys remember this one, where the trainer was got basically turned into a toy for the killer whale, the orca, and the orca apparently was just playing with this person like it was a toy, and ended up drowning in a tragic accident, ended up drowning the trainer. OSHA this past week has released their new rule for trainers, and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration has said that in all marine wildlife, which basically goes to the killer whales and I think dolphins as well, all these show animals, they have to have a physical barrier between the trainer and the killer whale, basically. So everything that you've seen at SeaWorld where they like push the trainer and push them up into the air or give the thing a freaking squid, you can't do any of that because there needs to be a physical barrier between you and the killer whale. And that just seems absolutely asinine to me. There was one very tragic, mind you, there was one very tragic accident, and all of a sudden you can't let people do what they've been doing for 35, 40 years because there's one accident? Really? Okay. That's my asshat. I think that OSHA was dumb and stupid for doing that.
I have to read into that. That's really weird. I did not hear that.
I think you need to stop listening to Neil Boortz.
He did chime that
That's why I heard it first, but...
Yeah. And anyway, I did recycle that one from there.
It took me forever to find out my asshat this week, but I found it. It was a great website. It's called worstgovernorever.com. So I think everybody right now on the podcast should go to worstgovernorever.com. And they can just type it in real quick. It'd be great.
I don't have the internet.
Yes, you do. God.
Really? That's who's going to get it?
Rick Scott won the Worst Governor Ever award from this website. I just think it's great. The Photoshop on this guy.
I love the Photoshop that they did.
I mean, look at the blue bonnet on the bottom there, a little badge.
Oh, my.
So,
lad, I don't know where you've been, but I see you won first prize. All right, well, that brings it in for another week. We've put it in the books. I think we've done a fantastic job. Laura, thank you for joining us this week from Oklahoma. Excellent. All right, and saying so long from Jeff Wheeler here at Johns Creek, Frank Heathington.
Remember to eat your Tillamook cheese. It comes from a hungry, happy cow.
And from New York, Tom Holmes. Say goodbye.
Bye, everyone. See you in Season 2 of the Sunday Podcast.
Season 2. Looking forward to it. We should have a few revamps, and everything should be stepped up a bit. And we'd like to thank Ziggy for all of her efforts. She is making a big difference, and you just wait for what we've got in store next time.
What was that?
That was very strange.
It was very weird.
Peculiar.
It was kind of amusing.
Yes, it was rather funny.
It was incredibly funny.
I loved it.
Hilarious. Wonderful.
That's awesome.
Really? Does that happen? I've never seen that before.
Frank?
Help save the youth of America. Help save the youth of the world. Help save the boys in uniform, their mothers and their faithful girls. Listen to the voice of the soldier down in the killing zone, talking about the cost of living and the price of bringing it